Success in selling. It's a nice short chapter. It's like a summary, kind of, yeah. But a lot of good points in here. So let's see what your favorite one was. You want to go start first, Blanco?
Okay, so mine was on page 187, the bottom paragraph.
Okay.
Your sales success will come about as a result of your mental, spiritual, and technically prepared plan to create and own it, followed by taking necessary actions that persist over time until you succeed in reaching your sales goals. So I like this one because it pretty much just, like on the top, it talks about like you have to be honest with yourself, like you have to critique yourself if you're not doing good or why you close the sale. So I like it because it really, sales has to do a lot with how you feel as well. So if you tell yourself you're going to sell it, then you're going to sell it because you already feel like you're going to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously you have to take massive action to actually get it. So that's why I like this paragraph.
Yeah, this whole chapter is about mentality, right? So your success will come as a result of your mental, spiritual, and technically prepared claim. And then I love it that you said that you have to also take action too, but believe in yourself and all that. This is a very important part of the sales game. Everybody feel like they're okay with their belief system as far as that they could do it? Yeah. Anybody need a little bit more help than others? And that's natural, you know. But being honest with yourself, that's a good point too. So yeah, thank you, Blanca. So what you got for us, Kalia?
It's the same page, 187.
Okay.
The middle of the second paragraph. It's just basically kind of talking about the same thing. So it's be honest with yourself on every sales cycle. Ask yourself, why didn't I get the sale? What could I have done differently? Where did I miss it? How could I have better justified the cost? Where could I have found new financing? Why didn't I get in front of the decision maker? I only asked for the order twice. Be honest, brutally honest with yourself, and take complete responsibility for the outcome. Yeah, so basically it's kind of like the same thing here. It's just, you know, you just have to ask yourself, you know, at the end of the day, why you didn't get the sale, you know, and then just, you know, be brutally honest with yourself. You could like better yourself on how to sell your policy with it.
There you go. I'm glad that we've done these book reviews and some of this stuff is repetitive, but you guys are starting to like really understand the concept here, you know, because I think a lot of times with sales, if you don't go through some training, then people don't get better because it's never their fault. You know, they're like a professional excuse makers, right? So once you understand that it is your fault, then you could actually improve. So what are some actual reasons that people don't buy? Like, what are some examples with us?
Too expensive.
Too expensive, okay. But what are some things that you could have done better, you think?
Explain more the coverage.
Yeah.
Show value.
Show value. Right, sometimes people are just thinking price, right? And then you got to convert those price thinkers into value. Like, you're actually not getting just insurance, you're getting something if something happens, so you got to explain the consequences sometimes a little bit better. What's another way we could maybe not get a sale? Being rude. Okay, like Blanca said, you know, sales is a lot about how you feel, right? So if you're rude, or if you're just not in a good mood, if you're just not getting enough rest, whatever, if you didn't eat right, or whatever the reason, but being rude is definitely a deal killer. It's hard to sell when you're rude. That's a good one. So then you're gonna be thinking like, oh, instead of like, oh, they had a bad attitude, maybe you're like thinking like, you know, this whole that whole line about Kelly is like, you gotta think like, oh, maybe I'm the one with the bad attitude. You know, so taking responsibility is a great way to figure out how to improve. Okay. All right. Thank you, ladies. Okay, Jazz, what you got for us?
Which one I want to say. Okay, I'll do this one. The on 195, the second little paragraph. This is one of the greatest turning points in my sales career occurred when I finally woke up to the fact that I was going to be successful in sales. I had to make it a priority, a career, not a job. When I stopped thinking about selling casually and committed to knowing everything there was to know about it, I started to create success. So I kind of like that little paragraph because it's kind of true. You can't be doing so many things at the same time. To be able to be sometimes successful, what you're working on or where you're at, you need to focus on that to be able to be good, and then later on, if you want to do something else, then, to be able to be successful.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of interests, so they try a lot of different things, but they're like actually a master of nothing. Like okay with a lot of things.
Because you're not giving the time to one thing, so you're
Right.
just not,
It's actually better to be a master at one thing than be like decent at a lot of things, right? So that's a great point. And and sales is a great thing to be really good at. It just really helps with income. So thank you, Jazz, for sharing that point, because it's almost like we're too spoiled with so much opportunity out there that we can't make a decision to what to focus on. So it's a good problem to have as like a community, is where there's so much opportunity. Like I could sell this, I could do that, I could do this. But sometimes it's actually a distraction where you're not picking one. And you pick one, you can actually be really good at it if you just stick with it.
And then for me, well, because I've been doing this for so long, this was my first job, insurance. So to me, it's like I made this not just this office, but I'm like this career. It's my career, because that's what I've been doing. That's what I know, to sell insurance. That's what I've been doing since I was like 18. So it's like, that's why I like that little paragraph.
Yeah, yeah, because you can see how it paid off, right? And then you can see probably a lot of people who you started with, maybe they've tried how many different other things since then.
Not in it, also.
Okay, so yeah, just like a sport, when you're playing a sport, if you're starting playing baseball when you're young, you're going to be better at it if you play for 10 years than someone who played 10 other sports like halfway. And you really want to dial into your profession. So yeah, Jazz, you're a great example of that. Thank you. Okay, Laura, what you got first?
Mine's on 195 to 196 at the bottom, where it says, the reason that successful salespeople seem lucky is because their success naturally allows for more success. Unless you're privy to the action, you don't see or hear about the number of times the top salespeople went for it and failed. Luck will not make you successful. Committing yourself to success completely is the way to be lucky. I like that part.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like it's more about like mindset in a way. Like if you put yourself in like that mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna get it today, or I'm gonna do well, then it kind of naturally comes to you, opposed to like being in a negative mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just about luck?
It's not just about luck.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you actually work for it, it happens, yeah.
Right. A lot of people will say, like, when someone gets really successful and things like that, oh, they got lucky.
I've said that.
Oh, yeah? About who?
Like, well, people, like, for example, if the parents are, like, let's say a celebrity, the parents are already successful, the kids get the right away,
have more
the
obligation.
success, they get more, like, they know people, they get more, like, advantage, I think.
Right.
So I'm like, they got lucky.
You can't deny that.
But, I mean, yeah, but that's not looking at celebrities. But, I mean, it can happen to everybody.
Yeah, but
But
certain situations, like, I think people still may not get the credit. Because even if you're in a great situation, some people get entitled and have bad attitudes and don't become successful. It's actually sometimes when you have successful parents, the work ethic of the kid is actually less a lot of times. So when it's almost like an excuse of, I think it is almost an excuse of why, they're successful and you're not is a bad game of comparison.
Yeah, because if you see a lot of kids that are like kind of like descendants of like rich parents, a lot of people say like, oh, well, they only have it because of their parents.
Right.
So it's not like they don't make their own luck in a way.
And that's unfortunate too, because some of them, they did have an advantage, but they took advantage of it and worked super hard for that, to get what they got too. So everybody starts from different starting points, but everybody does control their lives and their outcomes. So the biggest thing that whole line that I agree with is that, you kind of create your luck. Like the harder you work, the luckier you get. Especially with what we do, Because if you do 10 quotes, you're just gonna get more than someone who does 5 quotes or 1 quote, you know. So just creating your own luck, creating your own generating activity is sometimes what people think is just lucky. It's actually just plain old hard work. All right, thanks, Laura. Okay, Joe, what you got for us?
Mine's on 196, last part, where it says, be honest with yourself. It's fairly common for people who are not succeeding in sales to start justifying why they are not being successful. Some even start to lie to themselves. It's easy to spot trends in the sales industry in the people who were once doing well and who are now making more and more excuses why they are not succeeding. Pretty much just try not to make excuses why you're not succeeding, kind of thing. And I've heard a lot of people like, oh, I can't, my mom this, I don't have enough money, that. You don't need much to make money. There's always ways, they're just lazy.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people are just focused on the problem, you know? I mean, the problem could be legit, but it's just focusing on the problem, your mind's just going there, just putting in a negative mindset. Right? Whereas if you think of the solution, and you focus there, then you're gonna find creative ways to get better your situation. So not only in sales, but in anything that you want to achieve, excuse is a dangerous thing to get in the habit of. And that's what we really want to avoid, because, you know, if you work in like big sales organizations, there's gonna be like the excuse team, like the people on the who aren't doing well, they're always hanging out and making excuses to each other. You know, so that's the type of situation that I really want to avoid in this culture here, is where we're just coming up with ideas of why we're not selling. We're more like, what are we going to do to sell more? So more solution-based than problem-based. All right. Thanks, Joe. What you got for us, Maria?
Mine's on 195.
Okay.
It says, I can tell you that while success may be a journey, it is more important to understand that the journey is filled with many unexpected obstacles, and lots of people are on the same journey. Other people and obstacles will attempt to stop you from reaching your destination. So I kind of like this one just because it's true, like, you are on a journey to meet your success, and like, it's not going to be easy to get there, but you can't give up, and you never know what's going to happen, so you just have to kind of keep on going.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that it's not easy, right? But do you guys all feel like you guys have gotten better when you guys first started? In what ways?
Know more things?
You know more things?
Yeah, like
So-
I didn't really know a lot about insurance, and like you just learn.
Yeah. We didn't know anything, right?
Well, yeah. Just the basics.
Yeah. So that's number one. You got to know what you're talking about. That helps, because you're just going to be more confident. Because there was a time when everybody started without knowing anything at all. That's hard. What other ways do we get better?
Just knowing, like, a response back
Okay, yeah.
for a question.
Yeah. Similar thing. Okay, not only knowing the coverage, but how to respond to different coverages or concerns. What are
How
some?
to help mad customers.
How to? Okay. How to?
How to, like, you know, be able to help them out without making a big problem.
That's the important one, because if you have a mad customer, you don't know how to handle it, you could just ruin your whole day because you didn't handle it
And
them
get a
right.
bad review.
Yeah, get a better review, or make yeah.
You
Just
know?
always say yes.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, I'll work on it. But that is an efficient way, right? So we went through that, right? So how to handle those, because you didn't have the right training, you could just spiral away into like, oh man, this sucks, customer service sucks, like this is hard, this is like not fun. So we are gotten a lot better from where we have started. So yeah, really proud of some of you guys sticking with it, with the journey, like Maria said, you know, sticking with the journey and not giving up during the tough times, and still getting better and better still, even now. I had a review with Jazz, and I looked at the numbers, and what was pretty amazing was the sales went up, the attendance went up. These are all like her best ever: sales, attendance, retention, reviews, phone hours, and phone calls. So every single category, you know, so even with how many years now?
3.
3 years, but even longer in insurance,
Oh,
right?
12.
Yeah, 12 years. Like, you can still get better. And including me, you know, like, I can still get way better. I feel like I'm just, like I said, in the 3rd inning. So that mentality of having a long journey is a great way to look at it. It's a good paragraph, Maria. Okay. Marisol? I'm not going to skip you, don't worry.
I know. So mine's on page 197.
Okay.
It's like the first paragraph. It says, when you aren't honest with yourself, you give up. There is no reason or excuse good enough for you not to get what you want or need. Clearly, you aren't always going to make the sale, but please don't fail to make one sale and then spend the rest of the afternoon selling yourself lies and excuses about why it wasn't important or why you weren't successful. I like this because I think it's important to be honest with ourselves, and then I feel like most of us, sometimes when we fail, we just keep wondering like, why were we successful? But we just keep thinking about that instead of thinking of other ways to like become better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's why I like this one,
Yeah.
because it's relatable.
What do you think it's hard for some people to be honest with themselves?
Because they don't want to they don't want to come to the conclusion that they're just failures, I think. I don't know. I think it's, I don't know.
Like an ego thing maybe?
Yeah, pride maybe?
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, I don't make mistakes. You know, it wasn't my fault I didn't sell. Because it's just like,
Like
the
blaming
ego,
other people.
yeah, the lack of humility. Like, oh, maybe it was, or maybe I should have said that. They don't get there,
Yeah.
right? So it's a real killer when you have ego and too much pride, or you don't want to be, you know, we're not perfect, you know, but some people, swear to God, they are. Or they don't want to tell themselves difficult things themselves. They don't want to have that awkward conversation or uncomfortable position. You know, so what's important is just, hey, we're all, you know, I'm saying I got to get better. I think we all should say that, right? We all could get better, so let's not, it's really difficult to differentiate, but it's a huge difference from self-confidence to ego. Okay, so having the confidence, and actually having the self-esteem makes you say, hey, it's okay if I make a mistake, I still believe in myself. So you really got to balance those two together. So actually having self-esteem and self-confidence is what makes you humble. So let's have that approach when it comes to everything we do. Even creating content for us, you know, oh, that one didn't do good.
Yeah.
That was a bad idea. But that's how we learn too.
Yeah.
You know, so same thing with creating content, seeing what the audience likes. You just keep trying, and if it doesn't go well, then we're not going to get butthurt about it and get all depressed or blame the audience. You know, they decide what's going to be popular or not. All right, thank you, Marisol. Okay, Alan, what you got for us?
185, the last paragraph, it says, even the most fortunate and well-connected people among us must do something to put themselves in the right places at the right times in front of the right people. So I like that one because it just comes back to putting yourself in maybe uncomfortable situations.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do things in order, you know, like it says right here, the right places, the right times, and in front of the right people.
What about the next line? Can you share that one too?
Luck is just one of the byproducts of those who take the most action and are the most prepared. That one?
That's a good one too, huh?
Yeah, that
yeah,
one's good
keeps
too.
going. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, Alan. What'd you like that one again?
Oh, because it just says, like, you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in order to meet the right people and, you know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So taking the most action and the most prepared. Again, this is very similar to what Laura says. That's what we're all about. It's taking enough action so we run into the right people, right quotes. Do enough quotes, you're gonna run into people who say yes. Okay, thanks, Alan. Okay, Kathy, what you got for us?
Mine's on, I have two. Mine's
Okay.
on page 195, the bottom paragraph, where it says, the reason that successful salespeople seem lucky is because their success naturally allows for more success. Unless you are privy to the action, you don't see or hear about the number of times the top salespeople went for it and failed. I really like that one because it's true. They only see like the achievement, not the road that they took. You know, how long it took or how rough it was for them. They only see like the winner get, you know, its winnings, and that's what makes people think it's just that, but it's honestly not even close. They just only see like the little percentage of it at the end. And then I like the 196, the last paragraph. When young children, for example, are unable to get what they want, they ask nicely, then they get disappointed. Then they start to insist on having what they want, and maybe even fight for a little while and cry for a bit. Then towards the end of the cycle, when they have been told that they cannot have what they want, when they ask for it, they start to convince themselves that they never wanted it in the first place. It's really true because it basically reflects on any person that has a goal. They put their mind into it, and they ask, like, they might pray for it, they might, you know, fight for it a little, and then at the end they're like, oh, I never wanted it, and they move on to the next goal. But that's actually bad, you know, so it kind of reminded me like we're basically like children, but in an adult version, so yeah.
That's true. I like the first part too. Back to the first one you said, yeah, it's, a lot of people will see successful person or someone winning a game or someone getting an award or something like that, and they just look at that and say, oh, that looks easy, I must have been so lucky. But then they don't see, you know, 99% of the rest of the before they got there, which is all the grime and the grit and getting dirty, and they don't see that part of it, you know. So the journey is not pretty, but, you know, having that that feeling of achievement comes way down the line, and that's what people actually see. So to get there, it's a lot of hard work. So I feel like that's a good mentality to have.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like when one time Sylvia, one client told her, oh, you guys have the easiest job in the world. All you guys do is sit down in an air-conditioned room and anything, like basically like just talking, and I was like, no, like it's totally, but that's what they see. They were like, oh, you guys just give out awards and post it on Instagram to the top salespeople, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what they've been through to get there.
Right.
So it's true.
They said that.
Yeah, they said that to Sylvia one time. Some guy was like, no, I do like handwork. You guys just sit down and look pretty on camera and like just be in an air-conditioned room. I was like,
And I'm in the sun all day.
yeah, I'm in the sun all day. I was like,
I love that.
yeah.
We get physically trained and we get mentally trained.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's different challenges in every job, but you know, I could have empathy for that feeling where people may think this is easier because, you know, physically, yeah, it is easier.
I am sitting down on
So when you hear people's comment, you gotta look at it both ways. You know, hey, you could be wrong, but hey, you could be right. You know, like we should be grateful of, you know, being in financial services. It's actually what a lot of people really want to be in. Like, there's a lot of money involved, and it's just more better overall stress and for your body and stuff like that. There's some truth to that. You know, we are a little lucky. But looking at two sides and having his perspective and having our perspective, comparing it is an important thing to do. So yeah, we're lucky, but we also work hard. All right, Sylvia, what you got for us?
Mine's on page 193, the first page on the chapter, where it says, almost all people claim that they want success, but most people approach it as only a possible option. Approach anything as an option or a maybe, and I assure you that it will never be yours. So I really like this little sentence here because it just reminds me to make sure that my values are aligned with my goals, because it's useless for me to want to do something, but like my values are elsewhere. Like I don't really want to do it, but I guess I'll do it. It's not gonna work. So that's just a little reminder to just put your heart and your soul into anything that it is that you want to do, and believe it, and it'll be yours. And just making sure that you know your values are aligned with your goals.
Yeah. To be successful is so hard that you really have to be like obsessed with it. You know, it can't be like, oh, I kind of want to be successful. You know, I kind of want to like, you know, it'd be nice. You know, you just have to be like.
It'd be nice to make money.
It'd be nice to make money. Yeah, like I wonder if it happened to me. Like, you just have to freaking do it. You know, you just or almost make it like it's no choice. Like I have no choice. Like if it's either like this or like. You know, like, yeah, that's, again, being brutally honest with yourself. Like, and that's up to each person because that type of work is just not for everybody, and it's just not recommended unless you really want to do it anyways. So it's not, I don't feel like everybody should go after success because it's like, it's not going to be worth it for some people. It's like, You know, if you want to spend more time with family or just other interests, that's okay, you know. But if success is something that you really want to do, then it just has to be like a huge part in your life, like a must. So, yeah, that's a great line. It just sets the stage for that's the beginning of the chapter, but it just can't be an option. It's like you just have to be like unstoppable or relentless after after that goal. All right, thanks, Olivia. Thank you for the time.
Mine is page 194 at the bottom. If you don't consider your duty to live up to your potential, then you simply won't live up to your potential. If success doesn't become an ethical issue for you, an obsession and must, then you won't do what is necessary to attain it. I like that one. I feel like if you believe in yourself, like you kind of believe like you're in your potential, I think you could do more. You can try more. So it's gonna be to be successful. And I think no one can do it. Only like yourself can do it. So I think I like that.
I'm glad someone asked did this line too, because I really like this line. What does ethical mean?
Saying the right thing.
Doing the right
When
thing.
no one's looking.
Right. Just like unethical is what?
Being shady.
Shady, lying, right? So why is being successful being ethical?
Because
You're
you want
doing
it for,
something right to be successful. You're doing everything by the book to be where you have to be at.
When you're shady, it eventually catches up to you.
Right.
Yeah.
But what if you're just lazy? Is that unethical?
Yes.
Why?
Because you're not trying your best.
You're not
But
doing nothing about it.
unethical to who? Unethical to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not living up to your potential. So it's like, you're cheating yourself kind of. Who else are you being unethical to?
Client.
Hmm?
The client?
The client too? Yeah.
the business, because it basically surrounds like,
Oh yeah, your
it's like a
business too.
cycle. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a pattern. It affects the person you're working from or like the company you represent.
Mhm.
So it's not just about you, it's about everybody.
Yeah, your coworker, right? Like if you're like being lazy, then it's like unethical because it's like you're actually hurting somebody else's paycheck too. That's a good one.
People that depend on you, like financially,
Like,
like kids.
yeah, like you're being unethical to your kid if you're not being successful or living up to your potential. It's like you're like you're not doing. It's like your duty. You know what I mean? To become successful. I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's like an optional. Some people think being successful is unethical because that's being greedy. And successful people are unethical because they're just thinking about themselves. No, unsuccessful people are greedy because they're only thinking about themselves. They're not helping nobody. They're not helping the economy, they're not helping the company, they're not helping the family, they're not helping themselves. So if you look at it from an ethical standpoint, and I think looking at an ethical standpoint is really important because, you know, people in general want to be good people. You know, when people think like, oh, if I don't work hard, I'm actually being good because I'm not being greedy. No, you're actually being greedy if you're not working hard because you're not giving anybody anything. You know, so looking at it as an ethical standpoint is such a it was a kind of a game changer for me because I first thought like, hey, if I'm working hard, I'm so driven, it's like, am I like being greedy? Because like kind of like there's like, you know, bad stigma or stereotypes about, you know, successful people that are like greedy and like, you know, they only care about themselves. But I actually, after understanding this, I was like, no, I'm actually helping a lot of people the more successful I get. So changing that to being successful to a good thing, an ethical thing, and actually being unsuccessful as an unethical thing was a real game changer for you guys. And I think sometimes culturally people may face that. Like if you're successful, people may start looking at you like you're a bad person. Like what the heck? You know, it's kind of weird, right?
Like I've heard like people kind of like, what was it, a couple months ago, somebody said something like, oh, they only do stuff for people over there because they have money and they don't do stuff for people over here because we're poor. I'm like, what? Like in my head, I'm like, why would you even put yourself in that mentality like, well, I'm poor?
What do you mean?
Like, it was something like a city activity that they were doing, and they only passed out flyers to like certain neighborhoods, but not other neighborhoods, like low income, which kind of was messed up in a way, but the way that they relate it, like, oh, they only do things for the people over there because they have money, but not the people over here because they're poor. And in my head, I'm like, why would you put yourself in that position? Like, well, I'm poor. You know,
You can make the same
like
money.
instead of saying like, oh, I
The
don't
people
know,
that
like
want-
don't put yourself in that stereotype. I feel like a lot of people do that,
Yeah.
and they see it as like, oh, just because they live over there in the nice neighborhoods, like that's already kind of being like that's already kind of like downgrading your own life in a way
Right.
by you putting yourself in that mentality.
Yeah.
Like you have to kind of put yourself in a mentality where like even if you do grow up in like rural areas where it's bad, like you're gonna put yourself like, okay, I'm gonna get out of here, I'm gonna try to do
Right.
something better for myself and for my kids, you know? Like I don't want my kids to live what I lived in a way.
Right. That's gonna trickle down too. Like if you think that way, then your kid's gonna think that
Yeah.
way. You know, my identity is that I'm poor. You know, rather than if your parent was like, oh, I want to work hard, we're gonna move over there. You know, then that's how the kids are gonna grow up too. You know, so I do believe in just trapping yourself into that identity, because if you think that way, that's gonna happen. You know, so it's just perspective is everything, like how you look at your situation.
So I feel like it's very like, kind of like unethical, like for you to say stuff like that, like especially if like kids are around or like they're gonna think like, oh yeah, like they kind of
That's
that
not
minimum,
fair.
yeah,
It's not fair.
it's not fair, yeah,
They start
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like they start looking at
protesting and wanting the government to pay for everything. It's like, it's a bad route to go. You know, it's just more of like, hey, what can we do? It's my fault. Some of it is my fault that we're in this situation. What can I do? You know, so that's just a different mentality to have. All right, Martha, what you got for us?
Mine is pretty much the same, you said, page 194, and I actually have two. Page 94, the very bottom. In sales, like any other field, you have to demand success, otherwise it will elude you. Quit approaching success as an option, and your chance of reaching your dreams will rise exponentially. I can assure you that if you don't consider it your duty to live up your potential, then you simply won't live up to your potential. And I'm jumping to the page 196. Be commitment to your career, your product, the company you work for, and your clients has a duty, obligation, and responsibility. Has in the chapter the most important sales, you have to stay completely committed at all levels. Good parents will do whatever it takes to care of for the children. Get up in the middle of the night, close feet, and fight for them. Take care of them, and even put their own life at risk to protect them. This is the same way you must approach your sales career. So I like both because pretty much it's like commitment to your family, to your clients, because at the end, well, your clients are like your child, so you have to take care of them, help them. And it's kind of, it's funny because, you know, I got a puppy, and now he's sick, and I'm protecting him, you know? And it's like clients, you have to protect your clients because at the end, they're pretty much your family. Not your family, but it's like, it's your obligation to take care of your clients.
Yeah. Wow. Treat your clients like your kids.
I don't know about that.
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
know
no.
about that.
No, but if you did that, guarantee we'll get more sales, right? Like that's pretty far level of care. You know, but if you really care about them, then they can sense that, and I think that will help. Now, the difficult thing about that is that we have to get a lot of clients. Okay, so our care could only give you spread out so much, right? But taking care like you do your kid, your career is a good example, because then you're like, okay, I'm not going to let anything stop this career. I'm going to protect my career. I'm going to, really, grow my career. I'm really care about my career. That's a great mindset to have, because there's no love stronger than what parents have for their kids. So have a little love for your career too, because your career is what's going to finance your kid's future. So, or your puppy's future in Martha's case. So, yeah, a lot of times we talk going back to ethics, but doing out of love is a great way to do it. Okay, so have really a good understanding of what we do, and if you do well, it's good for people. And I think that's a great motivator for some people, rather than it's just good for me. And some people will get motivated by just helping themselves, and that is important too, because if you're in a bad situation, if you're just broke, you're just not helping anybody. Okay, so if you have that kind of heart where you want to help people, then you got to help yourself first, and then you can help other people. So let's go out there, help some more people, save money on their insurance, and get some sales, get some paychecks, and then help who you want to help. All right. Thank you, ladies. Hey, thank you so much for watching my videos. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to subscribe, and then stay tuned for more future videos to help you grow your insurance agency. And also comment below and let me know what you think. Until next time, thank you.